What's going on, team? Coach here with another video. In today's video, we're gonna go over the Mbox Studio, which was recently released. Brief history lesson, the Mbox has been around since 2002. And I remember having the first iteration. It was given to me in school. A few years later, I believe in 2005, they dropped the Mbox 2. And it was like, oh, because it was like sideways. That's pretty much it. And it was like this dark blue version, as you can see on screen. In 2010, they released the Mbox 3rd gen, and it had this black and gray look. They started introducing these big knobs, but it pretty much always had the same number of inputs, the same number of outputs. And then now we get to the Mbox Studio. This thing is completely different. As you can tell by the comparison here, it seems to be quite a bit larger. That's the history lesson and the origins of it. Let's jump into some of the facts and features about this bad boy. All right, so the first thing to notice is the design. Like, this thing is absolutely beautiful. I love the layout. I love the size, the big knobs, the colors it's got going. I think it's a great aesthetic. And I know, we really shouldn't look into that so much. But regardless, when we're all picking out our interfaces, there's a few things that we look for. Does it have the facts and the features that we need? Will it serve the function? Is it in our price range? And then we think about, does it look good? So just being honest. And this thing looks great. So first thing we notice here is that they've divided up the Mbox Studio into two halves. The entire left section is input controls, where the entire right-hand section seems to be the output controls. Looking at its backside, we see that it has optical ins and outs, also SPDIF in and out, and then to the right of that, I'm looking at two sets of mains. It has your main output left and right. It also has alternate output, which is pretty dope. I also see it's got some MIDI ins, MIDI outs, power buttons all the way to the left, 12 volt DC for your electricity, for your power. One thing I definitely know for sure is that this thing is USB-C. That is absolutely awesome. Now, I was checking on the website. It is for Windows and Mac users, but it leaves me wondering if in time, will they make this iOS compatible? I'm not an iOS user personally, but I do know that music production on iOS is definitely on the come up. So this may be something that they may be able to make compatible in the future. I'm not sure. Either which way, really excited to see if that's a possibility. To the right of the monitor outs, we have our effects sends and our effects returns. We also have our external inputs, expression pedals for foot switch. Notice that the effects sends are also variable C send. So you'll be able to adjust that for those of you guys that have high or low Z input instruments. So this is something really interesting here. I've noticed more and more that hardware is starting to be paired up with software. This is so key. This thing right here is so clutch. Let me paint this picture for you. You have your own recording studio, and you have various artists that come through to record. One artist likes his headphone mix EQ'd, compressed, reverbed, with all kind of effects on it. Another artist comes and they want auto-tune and delay. Now that first artist decides to come back, you don't need to look and prep and get them their cue mix that they like. Why? Because you've already saved it. All you have to do is pull up the saved preset and all that's set up already. And then when the second artist comes back, you pull up their saved preset. You can do this a million times for both cue mixes. This is so essential. And I feel like this is kind of a cheat code. We should have been here a long time ago. Let's be honest. But Mbox Studio is going there now, and I'm actually really excited for it. Now looking at the front of the console, we do see that they have 4 combo mic line inputs right in the front with variable C for the line inputs. And also on the output section on the right-hand side, it shows that there's 2 headphone outputs and also 2 controlling knobs with individual cue mixes. This goes right back to the control, the Mbox Studio control, where you can have those cue mixes and set them up individually. The Mbox Studio comes with a Bluetooth output that says 2-way simultaneous I/O. This is crazy. Think about this. Instead of having to bounce out your mix, and then listen to it in maybe some earpods, maybe some headphones, sets of your speakers, a second set of speakers, maybe take it to the car. You can just Bluetooth it to any one of those devices. If your car is close enough to your computer, and a lot of us work on laptops, you can Bluetooth it directly in your car and listen to it. No need to go through those extra steps. This right here, I believe, is the wave of the future. We're going to be seeing this a lot more. Looking at the back once again, we have the other two combo inputs on the back right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, we have that USB-C cable for connectivity to your computer. On the front, the input section, it does show that there are 6 variable Z input between the combo jacks in the front and the back and the line jacks on the back. And then you also have a Z button that's switchable, which is pretty dope. They also have a Bluetooth input, 2-way simultaneous I/O. Now, I've never used Bluetooth input or output for that matter, but I really wonder how that works. I don't know if I'm too trustworthy of it. You could theoretically be Bluetoothing directly into the DAW, and I don't know if there's going to be some kind of delay, or maybe there's some kind of Wi-Fi connectivity issue or block signal. I don't know. But if it has it there, apparently you can just be Bluetoothing directly into your set. All right. And then right smack in the middle of the Mbox Studio, we have these 4 assignable buttons. They're dual function, meaning that you can have one button. When you click it, it does one function. And if you click and hold, it has a completely separate function. So even though you have 4 assignable buttons, essentially you can use them as 8 different functions. Also, we have, how can we miss the most obvious thing on the Mbox Studio, are the 2 giant knobs, which they're also clickable. So not only do they rotate, they also have a little click feature that will give them a function as well. So this Mbox Studio is actually meant to be a desktop mixer or desktop studio. And because of that, it has a talkback feature with a built-in talkback mic so that you can talk back and forth with your talent who may be in another room. They may be far away. They may not be just right next to you. And inside of the Mbox Control software, you can actually set up talkback mixes. Okay, so for all of my tech heads out there, I'm gonna go ahead and put all the specs up on the screen right now. If you guys want to see that, go ahead and pause the video, put it in slow play, do what you gotta do. Let's talk about what's included. If you decide that this is something for you, included comes a bunch of bundled software, including Pro Tools Studio subscription for 1 year, Sibelius Artist for 1 year, you have the Mbox Control. You'll also get Melodyne 5 Essentials and SoundFlow Cloud, which I honestly have no idea what it is, but you also get it. Aside from that, you'll also get an Mbox Ignition Pack, which includes things like an entire pack from Brainworks. You'll also get AVID Loopmaster Sample Pack and a toolkit from BPM Create. And it seems like Baby Audio is throwing something in there as well. So let's talk about the price. This bad boy retails for $899 USD. That's not all the way at the top of the price range. It does have some competitors that are in there over $1,000. However, it's not the cheapest either. And let's talk about this, because more and more, these cheaper interfaces are getting good, and good interfaces are also getting cheaper. I mean, all you have to do is a quick Google search to see that there's plenty of options out there that will also get the recording done and get the job done for a fraction of the price. Let's talk about who this is for. Obviously, at this price range, this is not for the budget hobbyist. I would think this is also not for the solo creator. If you're a solo creator, solo producer, you do everything inside the box. You have no need for recording instruments or multiple instruments at the exact same time, and you have no need for 4 inputs. This is kind of like way overkill. This is the Gravedigger when all you need is a Honda Civic. If you are in a professional $1 million studio, this probably isn't for you either. I think they're shooting for somewhere in the middle. Question for you. Do you think AVID Pro Tools still carries the weight that it did before? I mean, at some point in time, you couldn't go to any professional studio and see anything but Pro Tools. However, times have changed. Let's be real. At this point in time, I've been to studios that have Logic, Studio One, Cubase, Ableton, professional $1 million studios. Do they still hold the same power that they did before, being the industry standard? I'm sorry for the air quotes. I had to do it. Now, If you have a few pennies to spend and you want Pro Tools as well as their entire bundle, and you also get a ton of inputs, this thing boasts 21 inputs, 22 output. If that's something that you think you need in your studio, or you just want to have options, or maybe it's the Bluetooth connectivity, I think they knocked that out the park. This may be something for you. And those are my thoughts. If you like this video and you'd like to see other tech reviews, drop it in the comments below. You actually may like this video right here. Until the next video, this is Coach, and I'm out. Yo. Oh, I'm not even gonna be in the thumbnail.